The debut album, Lupi Amoris, is very close to release.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very close anyway.
Next week,
obviously,
a week from today. Sure.
Obviously, the band's been going for 9 years now. You've done 2 EPs and a few singles here and there in that time.
Mm-hmm.
How relieved are you to finally be able to present a full length to the world?
I was talking to someone the other day, and I feel like I had this sort of like personal epiphany where I just realized like how it's exciting to be working with Magnetic Eye, but also just like the aesthetic of the album, all of the art, the music video. You know, and some of these songs have kind of been floating around the heavy tempo universe for like 6 years, maybe. So it's kind of overwhelming to finally be putting it out, but also very personal accomplishment, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be putting it out there now.
Cool. And how long have you been sat on the finished album? A lot of bands have recorded an album like a year or so ago, but for obvious reasons haven't been able to release it. Is that the case?
Yeah. So we had plans kind of to record with the previous lineup, and that didn't happen. And then we wanted to record with this new lineup, but you know, when we got together, we were just playing a lot of shows. So we did eventually record it and wrapped it up, and we were shopping it around, and then 2020 happened. And ultimately Magnetic Eye reached out to us, and they were really excited at the prospect of working together. So I guess we probably had it in the can for maybe like, I want to say like 6 months or so, before, you know, before we signed with Magnetic Eye. But we definitely had been in the process of sort of continually recording them for a while, and obviously playing those songs live for quite a bit.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, some of the songs have been around for years now. Were any of these songs featured on previous releases, or is this a full brand new exhibit of everything?
These are all new. I mean, they're definitely not new to people who have seen us live since the last 2 albums or EPs or whatever have come out. But this is all previously unrecorded. Yeah.
Awesome. Like you mentioned as well, you signed with Magnetic Eye for the album. What was it about the label that appealed to you?
Well, we have had some friends with Magnetic Eye, and everybody has just had great things to say about them. And then when I was introduced to Jad through working on the Women of Doom compilation, and then he reached out about, you know, when we were toying with the idea of chopping this album, he said, you know, if you guys can hold on for like a sec, while you know, because I think they went through like there's like I don't know if they got absorbed or whatever, but he, you know, was going through like this transition period, and he was like, if you could just hold on, I think that we'd like to put that album out. So I just wanted to work with somebody that was excited to work with us.
Yeah.
And that ended up being Magnetic Eye. And like I said, their reputation precedes them as well. So I feel like it's a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. But as for the album itself, there's a lot to get excited about. It sounds great from what I've heard. You got that awesome music video as well, Desert Through the Trees. That's so, it's weird to say about a doom metal band, but it's a beautiful video. You know what I mean?
I agree. And Tom did a great job. He's based in Wales.
Okay.
And he'd done videos for our friends at Yatra and Crystal Spiders as well. And so I checked out his reel and just like the vibe, the you know, the aesthetic, and we bonded briefly over the movie Dog Soldiers.
Oh yeah.
And so you know, I just kind of gave him the idea of like what I was thinking of, and we ran into a few hiccups, like, you know, there was like timeline stuff, and we were gonna record some other footage, and then our guitarist contracted the plague, unfortunately, like right before we were supposed to shoot, so we had to use this alternate footage, and it was kind of hectic, but he did a fantastic job, and it was just him and the one actress, I think, who I think she may have also done like her own makeup, and so it was just a very minimal project. And I feel like it's visually very lush, so I was happy to see that come together.
Absolutely, like I say, it is gorgeous, and obviously the video itself it looks fantastic. You think it represents the song itself well?
Yeah, I mean I guess the whole album, really, the concept is just from a personal perspective of meeting my partner, and we happened to meet at a festival in the woods.
Okay.
So and they were also the one who turned me on to the Angela Carter story. So since I felt like that was probably the only music video we were going to make for this album, I wanted it to be, I wanted it to make sense with the theme, but also just kind of keep it loose, you know, a loose interpretation of, you know, it's because it's not a wolf that is chasing Red Riding Hood, but it's like certainly an entity, as it were, you know, and you don't know if that entity is good or bad, or, you know, but she finds herself drawn to it. And so I think that the video marries all of the concepts and themes of the album and the song really well.
Excellent. It's always great to find that spirit that taps into what you're doing and understands what you're trying to convey. So, and that's also very evident with the artwork. The artwork is phenomenal. It's absolutely stunning. I'd marry it if I could.
Yeah, I was almost worried when Alex came back. You know, again with everybody that was involved as far as the artwork, you know, photos, video. I just sort of gave everyone a loose idea and just let them run with it, because I feel like that's kind of sometimes that's like the best way to do it. And you know, when Alex came back with that painting, I was almost worried that like the album cover is better than the album. Like, it's such an awesome album cover, and Zach really did a good job with the logo. It's got kind of almost like this weird like candle mask kind of feel to it. But I think the artwork is I think it's the best album art that we've had so far, for sure.
So it might even be a contender for artwork of the year, let alone the album. Is something to behold.
He did a great job, absolutely.
And for those of us that are unfamiliar with the story on the album, could you give a summary?
Sure. So I wrote it based on a personal experience, my personal experience, and like, I guess it's sort of a love story in a way. But you know, as I mentioned, my partner introduced me to this short story, and so I sort of like I kind of knew with this collection of songs as they were coming together, I kind of knew what I wanted to write about, and then that Carter story just resonated with me in a way, because it's like dark and sensual and also empowering, you know, it just felt like there were some parallels to my life at that time. And, you know, having met in the woods, I don't know, just, it's like a little tongue in cheek, but it's also like super vague. So I kind of like that juxtaposition. But, you know, Red Riding Hood's always been kind of a dark story. And I just wanted to explore the underlying like adult themes of Little Red Riding Hood as they apply to my personal experience.
Yeah, I've heard people kind of analyze the Little Red Riding Hood story as like a loss of innocence and things like that.
It's a cautionary tale, right? Because Little Red Riding Hood goes out and then she meets the wolf, and the wolf I've always felt is supposed to symbolize, you know, like lust and desire and danger and like all the things that women are supposed to be protected from. You know, because then it's like, I think for her father and like the man that they're probably going to force her to marry, like, show up and they kill the wolf and then everything's fine. And so that's what's cool about the Angela Carter story is like, it's this like reclamation of those things that we're supposed to be protected from. At least that's my interpretation of it, you know.
It's an interesting one. Obviously, due to the pandemic, playing shows and that has been very, very difficult, if not impossible. I don't know what restrictions have been like in Pennsylvania, but I would imagine they've been relatively tight.
They were in Philadelphia just because we're like a major city, so we have a lot of people and things move a little bit slower. But they were going to, I guess, like a partial lifting of restrictions outdoors.
Okay.
And then I think like the day before we played this show last weekend outdoors, they were going to do, you know, like all the CDC guidelines. And I think like right before that, Philly was like, fuck it, whatever, just be outside. Yeah. So it's the feeling here I get anyway is that people are still very like, they still want to be respectful regardless of whether or not they've been vaccinated, and like, you know, people are still wearing masks indoors, still giving everybody kind of a wide berth, even though, you know, local government's like, hey, this is fine, totally, just go do whatever. I think that most of us are still kind of like, yeah. I'll just wear the mask. But we did just play a show this past Saturday, and it was awesome. I mean, some of those people I haven't seen. One of our friends who went on tour with us as a merch person, I haven't seen her since well before all of this started. You know, and we've been on like 2 tours together. So it was wild to see people that you haven't seen in like 16 months. But then also to just pick back up like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Well, because nothing did happen. We literally just did nothing for a year and a half. So no, but it felt really good. It was a bit nerve-wracking at first, but it felt good. You know, once you got on stage, it's like you just haven't skipped a beat.
And have you got any more shows lined up for the near future? Or indeed?
Yeah, we have one at the end of July with Ruby the Hatchet. That's just outside of Philly, and then we're playing a festival called Muddy Roots down in just outside of Nashville in Tennessee. In September. I think like Weed Eater's playing, Atomic Bitchwax is playing, Bonzilla is playing. Like of you know, like the heavier scene, and then they have like some really awesome like outlaw country, which is kind of how it started, and that's always a good time. This will be our 3rd year, so and huge open range, so plenty of room for people to have their own space.
Yeah, everyone can social difference. Yes, internet, I know it's distance, don't give me any shit. But thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, of course, thank you for having me.
Especially making time for it at work. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you know, this is more fun.
Well, and most importantly, good luck with Lupi Amoris, because
Thank
like I
you.
say, it's from what I've heard, it's fascinating doom metal, and that's it. I like doom metal, but I like it when it's interesting, and this is
Oh,
one that I'm really intrigued to pick
Thank
up.
you.
So
But we don't want to, you know, gotta keep a few tricks up our sleeve.